everybody, for another edition of the Club Cool podcast. I am your host, Barrett Dudley, and we are brought to you by Washed Media. I'm sitting here in the Washed Media studios. No Phil today. No Phil. He is shooting new scenes for an upcoming edition of $1 Million Listing Austin. It's a little known fact that his real role model, his real icon is Phil Dunphy from Modern Family. That's his real estate. They share the name. They've got the real estate. You know, he wants to be a mogul and have 3 kids just like Phil Dunphy. So he is off pursuing that dream. Instead, I am joined by a guest today. I've got Braxton Manley. He is the co-founder of Braxley Bands. And man, we're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about accessories. We always meet at the intersection of style and pop culture, so we're going to hit on a bunch of that stuff. Braxton, it's great to have you in the studio. What's going on?
Hey, it's an honor. I'm a true cool kid.
Yeah,
as far as being a fan of this podcast goes.
Yeah. And I mean, Braxton, you and I, we've kind of feel like we've run into each other many times over the years, whether it's been at like a meetup for Washed or for Circling Back. I've seen you at like a couple of the Howler events. Yeah. And I think just in general, like out and about at the stuff that we like to do. So
it's a small town.
It is. It's a small town. We were just talking about that earlier. Like, is it? Do you still feel like it's a small town? The pandemic's has kind of tamped that down. But I definitely I was arguing with somebody that Austin it does like that is a thing that we say here, because if you're out and about, you do kind of like tend to see the same people, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we've kind of known each other for a little while, and you are the co-founder of this Braxley Bands business, and give me the elevator pitch again. You're the only lifestyle brand focused exclusively or that is only focused on making watch bands for an Apple Watch, right?
That's right. So basically, quick elevator pitch is they're the most comfortable Apple Watch bands in the world. And kind of the perfect combination, or let's say they meet at the intersection of style and comfort. Okay.
Perfect. If you're watching on YouTube.com/washmedia. I've got your website up here. Is this a new look? Is this a new website?
It's pretty fresh. I would say we launched it early summer.
Okay. It's great summer vibes. Is this are you kind of like is this to get ready for the Saved by the Bell revival?
No, but it definitely pulled some inspiration from that era.
Yeah. And I just first right off the top, you just dropped some new bands?
That's
right?
Yes, we call them Season 6.
Season 6.
And
people are saying that this Season 6 rivals Yeezy Season 6. So
people are saying.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty high praise. Am I looking at the freshest, newest stuff right here?
Yeah, the top 3. And then so this was kind of a smaller one, but the one we have coming out next month in November is, I think, 6 or 7 new ones.
Okay.
So those ones are by far my favorites we've ever done. And what's cool about this one we're looking at on the screen, the Season 6, is we started to laser engrave the adapters. So if you notice that one we etched Live Flexibly on it.
Okay.
So, we're just doing little things like that make these things very unique. No other Apple Watch band brands are, really doing anything close to this.
Okay. That's pretty cool. Now, I believe that I'm correct. This started as a class project for you.
That's right, at Texas Tech.
Okay. Give me the background there. Tell me how this happened.
Sheesh. So, yeah. It was actually kind of like multiple class projects.
What was a class project that was hey, start a company?
Well, okay, so I was a marketing and management student at Texas Tech. This was my, I think, sophomore year, and they did this thing we could do for extra credit called 3-Day Startup. And it was a weekend workshop where you learn like how to write a business plan, and then you kind of do like a Shark Tank style pitch to some professors that acted as investors.
Potential investors, yeah.
And I had just gotten an Apple Watch for my birthday. This was 2016. It was the first one that came out, and there was nothing interesting with the watch bands. And I was always kind of like into watches, and I had I remember always rocking a Movement watch, and like I thought it was so cool, and it was. But as far as Apple Watch goes, it was like nothing fashionable out there. So it was that plastic band that a lot of people still have, and I wasn't really into it. I kind of found myself going back to the traditional watches just because, I liked the look. So my pitch for this project was stylish Apple Watch bands. And that's kind of as far as the idea went at the time. So put it through this class project or this weekend workshop. And then next semester took an entrepreneurship class that was pretty much come up with a business plan with where you can do on a student budget, and pitched this idea again. And as we sort of developed it over the semester, I had a little more time to mess with materials and started actually cutting up socks and stitching them onto a Apple Watch, and realizing that the stretchy like sock material where you could just kind of pull it on and off was awesome. And then also socks had all these crazy patterns. So we really started to nail the idea down when we got to that.
As far as the bands go, you are laser engraving the live flexibly on there. Is that kind of what, aside from design and style, is that one of the things that kind of like separates them from the pack? Is that is this easy on, easy off, like kind of elasticized feel?
That's right.
Okay.
So we were the first ones to do it, and there's a couple knockoffs out there, as it happens, but we're the first ones to do a basically call it like a solo loop. So just pull it on, pull it off, no buckles or clasps.
So you're telling me the story, and I for me the first thing that comes to mind, and I think for a lot of entrepreneurs out there and people that want to be entrepreneurial, is you have this idea. You do the class project, you make the pitch, it all looks good on paper, and you kind of alluded to the very beginning, the very first type of prototype where you're cutting up a sock. But then how do you what was executing like? Where was the kind of the light bulb moment where you were like, okay, this is going to be a real business, and then kind of second to that, how do you begin finding somebody that can make this band for you? Because I think that's like. That's certainly the first thing that comes to my mind. I think it's whenever you're going to start a business that requires making something, unless it's like a T-shirt and you know how to sew, it's like but for something that's a little bit more abstract, it's like how do you begin? Where'd you go to find this?
Yeah, well, it's sort of a funny story. One of my best friends at the time, Grant.
Is he your co-founder?
Co-founder, yeah.
Okay, you're getting to that, right?
Yeah.
You're about to tell me.
Sure. Yeah, so we were fraternity brothers, and basically both had this idea to work on businesses. We were kind of very entrepreneurial in that way, and he had the idea to cut up Louis Vuitton bags and turn them into Apple Watch bands.
Okay.
Reckless. He had like a fake one that he was testing it out on, and I was working on this sock Apple Watch thing at the time, and we would meet up at night to kind of, work on our ideas together. And I guess to be clear, at this time, I wasn't trying to use socks. I had found a fabric website out of China that was selling, it's basically inch-wide woven elastic.
Okay.
And all these different patterns. I thought they were cool, so I got a sample. It took like 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. It takes forever. And it was a much better material, more durable to work with, especially on a band like this. It's basically, it feels like an elastic waistband on a pair of boxers. And so I started really nailing down the material, and I was hand stitching them at the time. Well, it turns out,
so you do kind of know how to sew.
Not really. No. I mean, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
I literally had like a hotel seam kit or whatever you get, and I was just going back and forth. Yeah. And luckily, this is the funny part. Grant had taken a sewing class in high school as a total blow-off class.
Wow. Okay.
And he knew how to work a sewing machine like an expert. He was amazing at it. So for probably our first year, we were making all of them ourselves. Now the metal piece is a little more complex. You can't really make that in a dorm room.
Yeah.
So that came from, I think we were buying those on eBay. Like there was some random listing, and we started buying as many as we could, hand stitching them, selling them to our friends and people we knew around tech, just paying us $20 on Venmo. Mm-hmm. Everybody started to love it, and kind of built the Instagram, and then started a little Wix website for like $9 a month, and just, the student newspaper wrote about us, so we got a little bit of publicity, and really just grew it from essentially no upfront capital. I mean, we put like, the kind of thing we say is we put like $20 into this maybe to buy some random materials, and then just use what was in the bank account to grow it. I'm still doing that.
And still completely self-funded. And
that's right.
Yeah. And so how long, you said this was, the origin of this company was like 2016. So you're in year 4 or so?
Yeah, I think we founded the company May 17. So there was like a good year in there where I was like, I was a sophomore in college. I didn't really know what to do. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Speaking of the Instagram, at Braxley Bands, if you want to follow along, you guys have 47,000 followers. That's not a small following. Are you running the social media there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of one of my most fun jobs, I guess. I really like coming up with what to post, and I think we had some pretty cool little tactics on how we were able to grow it.
Yeah,
was there beyond just ad spend?
Was there ever like was there one thing, or were there a couple of moments that gained like large chunks of those followers, or has it been just very like steady as she goes, just making?
It's been steady.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah,
I can't say there's been one thing that's been particularly, never.
Are you subscribed? How often are you posting on Braxley Bands?
Not enough. So that's one of the things we just onboarded this application, I guess, called Curate. That's going to start scheduling our posts for us, and we can be a little more scientific with our organic Instagram strategy.
Yeah.
Because we've kind of just been shooting at the hip, like just put whatever up, and realizing now we should be a little more organized with it.
Yeah. I always feel, that's seriously impressive to me. It's obviously putting together the business and growing it to what it's become is the headline here, but like, man, it's not easy to grow a social media following. So to get to nearly 50,000 followers in 3 years is.
Hopefully Club Cool puts us over that 50 mark.
Yes, don't hold your breath, but I do hope that we gain you a few extra followers here.
Yeah.
So first 3 years, right? We're in year 4 here. What's been the absolute hardest thing about running this business? Whether it's like production or web dev or customer service, like is there anything that's a real like choke point or headache for you?
I feel like everything that's been a headache, I've figured out a way to outsource it to somebody, like a contractor. Like, for instance, customer service used to be the worst thing to deal with ever. So now we hired a customer service rep, so I don't have to do that anymore. So, really, the idea
4-hour
of
work week.
Exactly. That's right. That was one of the first books I ever read on business. And geez, that's that. If anybody's looking for a place to start, really start there.
Yeah,
I would. So, the truth is, like, I'm trying to make this my dream job. And the way to do that is to not do anything you don't want to do, or you find like pulls down your morale or energy. And so, I wouldn't say my job is very hard.
Yeah.
There's certain things that are hard, I guess, mentally, like it's kind of really, I don't know what you say. Like, it gives me a little bit of anxiety when I type in Braxley Bands on Amazon and there's like pages of knockoffs.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, what we're doing, like, everybody knows the power of a brand, and there's always going to be Amazon knockoffs. I'm sure that exists for everything. And there's also going to be people who prefer a story and a brand and stuff that has character to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, I just wanted to go back to the sewing thing. Your co-founder Grant, who just happened to know how to sew. Great skill for anybody to have out there. If you're just like bored with the pandemic and you have like a little space, or you have a random sewing machine, or you just want to teach yourself with a needle and thread, that is among with like coding and speaking Chinese, it's one of the skills that I don't have that I really wish that I did have. I've been like, fashion guy for style guy, working for brands and companies for 10 years now. And like, I'm about to go to the tailor to get them to sew a button back on a pair of shorts for me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Randy's over here shaking his damn head. But it's sad. So you should, if you're interested in any of this, just pick up the basics of learning how to sew. That's a great. If you take anything else from this, read the 4 Hour Work Week, learn how to sew.
That's right.
So you were buying the material from the socks. I'm assuming you're with a supplier now. You've got your vendor. Like,
yeah, the whole supply chain is pretty polished.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been working with the same people now for over 2 years as far as the producers of it, and everything is steady. I mean, we're getting more and more, I guess you'd say, like mathematical about inventory, and
Sure.
I mean, I'm basically figuring all this stuff out through trial and error.
Yep.
Like, I know nothing about retail buying. I wish I had that experience because honestly, like, we've really been shooting at the hip for like all this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
buy this much because we think this size is going to sell more, and we were wrong on a lot, but we're learning. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a few at the bottom. We kind of push them down to the bottom that there's like everything sold out, but there's 801 size. And it's like, there's nothing we can do. We just overdid that size, and
Yeah.
So.
Well, December, tax loss harvesting season.
Yeah.
So you guys are Texas based. You started at Tech. You said your co-founder is in Dallas. You're out of Austin. I feel like more of this is coming to Texas. There are a few kind of big brands here like Outdoor Voices and Yeti and Howler Brothers. I'm pretty sure Chubby's just moved most of their headquarters here earlier this year. Got you guys. Is this something that you're noticing? Do you feel like Austin? We've obviously got this California exodus happening, continuing to put more and more people here. Shows no signs of slowing down. In fact, I think it's speeding up with the pandemic. Are you noticing any other like other little pop-ups, like, or other little brands kind of starting up in this sector at all?
Yes, I mean, for sure. There's the thing about Austin, and the 4 Hour Workweek author Tim Ferriss. I don't know exactly how he put it, but the thing about Austin that's cool is there's all these like startups and entrepreneurship across like so many industries.
Yeah.
Like, you go to Silicon Valley, it's just tech. You go to New York City, it's finance, and it's maybe some apparel or whatever, right? But Austin is so diverse in that way that like industries are, it's pretty much everything.
Got a little bit of everything.
When you think about like, all the consumer packaged goods brands out of Whole Foods, like, there's about 45 different kombucha brands out of Austin. And I don't know why that is, but it's just like a very creative place. And I do think this is like going to be like the new mecca for creators and for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Texas has really good economic reasons to be here as far as taxing goes. And Austin is just a really, really amazing place. And I've born and raised here, and I probably may stay here forever. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. You're mentioning like just like that this is a relatively creative city. So it's a perfect segue to talk about some of the creative stuff that's going on at Braxley Bands. Are you you've got you and your co-founder, you're only two like full-time employees. You're the creative head, right?
That's right.
So what goes into design at this point? Like you mentioned the like kind of like looking at sock designs and stuff. Now are these from scratch designs, or are you working with suppliers, graphic designers? How does that work?
Yeah, so every band we sell now is completely designed by me. Like, in the past, we were finding pre-printed fabrics and working with those. Then we realized we were getting knocked off on
this pattern looks good.
Yeah.
We like this, but it was from a vendor, from a supplier.
Right. Okay. So now I do everything
on the market.
I do everything on my iPad. And I kind of just find different things. I study. So like one of the ones at the top called the Bauhaus.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about Bauhaus school?
Man,
I have a little story here.
This name really rings a bell. Of Bauhaus, but no, on the spot I can't.
So go down a little bit. There you go. So post World War II German design school that basically designed most of like the iconic mid-century modern furniture.
Okay.
And they have this geometric pattern look that's sort of everywhere.
Yeah.
and nobody really knows where it comes from. It's a lot of the aesthetics of like what you think is like 80s is really from this Bauhaus design school and the stuff that they put out.
Okay.
So I always loved that. And this band is basically inspired by some of their aesthetics.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a great looking one. I love the colors here on the Bauhaus as well. We're on the website here. Your marketing photos, they're also really like polished and they look great. Is this kind of relatively is this new for you guys to like have you mentioned just right before we started recording that you were down in Orlando for like a full-on photo shoot. Is that like something that's kind of new for you guys?
Yeah. Before like a month ago, we were doing all the photos ourselves off of our iPhones. You can get a long way.
Yeah. And just ask Will to freeze.
Yeah, exactly. So we decided though it was time to get some professional stuff and go into a studio. And so all the new photos on the site are from that shoot that we did about a month ago, and it was super fun. Very cool to learn from, people that are, career photographers. It's really awesome.
Absolutely. So, did you hire those guys out of Orlando? Is that where they were based? Yeah. Okay. So we're here in 2020. You guys are churning out these bands. You've got 7 new ones dropping in November, which, and you were referring to them as collections or seasons?
Seasons.
I
don't know.
Just
seasons, trying to be playful with
season
it.
6.
Yeah.
Is that like is that a conscious decision to kind of like use some of that fashion vocabulary a little bit? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And the website looks great. You're doing a professional photography. So basically, like we said up top, you've been very focused on making watch bands for Apple Watches, but that's obviously like there's only so much that you can eventually do with that. So I'm sure you're thinking about ways to grow, ways to move forward, products to add. What's in the hopper for Braxley Bands? What's coming up next? What can we expect?
Well, not for sure yet. And frankly, it may stay as Apple Watch bands forever.
Yeah.
Because there's enough of a market. I mean, it's the number 1 watch in the world now, as far as sales go. So it's beat, I think Rolex was probably top at one point, but Apple Watch is just going to continue to grow and grow. They just announced this new thing where you can have the watch without having it paired to a phone, which is going to make it really great for kids to have Apple Watches.
Okay.
So that parents can track their activity and their location without having to give their kids a new iPhone.
Yeah.
And I would love to start, being seen or, like kids wearing our stuff. I mean, totally would fit with our vibe, I think. And they're really like collectible, which, kids have always loved to collect stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a new market for us. But we'll see. I mean, beyond that, we are working on, our research and development department is definitely active.
That's you, right?
Yeah. We have a belt prototype. We're calling it a utility belt.
Okay.
And it's basically the same material we use on the watch band, but on a belt. So it can make any pair of pants that has loops. It could make it have an elastic waistband essentially, which is always going to be more comfortable.
Yeah. What about are you intent on like staying with Apple Watch? Would you make these for other smartwatches? Would you make them for like a Timex watch where you can swap out the brands? Is that like a growth potential for you guys, or something that you've thought about, or is it better to be like you were just saying, like the Apple Watch band? This is where you go for your Apple Watch bands, basically.
Right. It's hard to say, and it's all kind of based on intuition. We've tried some prototypes for other watches, but there's too many variants in the millimeter length for certain watches. Ladies' watches have like an 18 millimeter pin, and then some of the beefier ones go all the way up to like, I think 25 millimeter.
Right.
So inventory-wise, it's near impossible to make these bands for all these different compatibilities and all these different devices. So we're going to probably keep it simple and just focus on the one that matters most and the biggest brand and the coolest brand.
Yeah, that makes sense too. And like you said, for your brand to be associated directly with Apple is like probably not a bad thing. Definitely, like I pay attention to some of these other brands, like one that is podcast sponsor Bombas. I just recently noticed that they've added T-shirts.
Yeah.
Right. And I know you're a style guy, so it's I'm just saying it's another possible. If you guys, I know you've got your merch. I've got a dope T-shirt here in my hands now, but I wouldn't mind seeing Braxley come out with some clothing.
Okay. Yeah. Well, another thing we prototyped was a hat.
Okay.
That basically the adjuster, like the snapback part on the back, was the band material.
Yeah.
It's totally awesome.
Yes.
It's just about finding the right hat. Like, I'm so particular about hats, and that's one of the things I brought to show you. I just got this ALD hat, first ALD piece, and I just got it this afternoon. I can't tell if I like it. I'm like wearing this thing a couple different ways, so I brought it in to ask. I want to get your take on it.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, we can just do it live right here on the podcast if you want to.
Okay, sure.
But
you know what I think it looks like is I look like Sherlock Holmes, and that's why I'm a little bit worried about it.
Okay. This is while you're busting this out. It's very true. Just hats in general, the fit. I can already tell that your issue is going to be that it's too shallow, right? That you feel like it's too shallow.
Crazy shallow. I know what you mean by that, but I don't know. And then backwards, it looks, I think, a little bit better backwards.
Yeah, it's hit or miss with them because for me, like it's always just with hats in general. I like them to fit, and especially ones like this, which are kind of unstructured dad cap style, right? Mm-hmm. It's like some people really like them to fit close to the head, a little bit of height above the ears, but I like them to fit deeper on my head. And it's like the shallower they look, the smaller they look.
Yes.
So that's where you're getting that like the houndstooth and kind of like looking like a little watch cap almost.
Yeah.
And you may be putting out Sherlock Holmes vibes, but it's
right.
not. You also have like with your glasses and your face shape. I think the shallower hat, like, it doesn't look bad on you either. So,
thank you. I will say Howler, the Howler feed lot hat,
the all mesh store.
It's like my most worn hat.
Yeah, those are very, very popular.
I love it.
Let's see. We're just about wrapped up, I think, with most of the business questions that I had for you. We've covered, just kind of like what you're doing, what's next. Any best sellers out there? Like, do you have stuff or a certain band that really just moves anything alternatively on this next drop that you're really, really stoked on, proud of, like can't wait to wear?
Yeah. First part of the question, which is honestly disappointing because of how simple it is. The best-selling band times 3 is the all-black band. And I'm just like, I mean, it's great. And, people, obviously it's versatile. But we didn't really expect that to happen. So seems like we're constantly having to reorder more of it. And it's the one that sells out the most.
Yep.
But that's the thing is, like, I really like to do the artwork and design them. So I don't think I've ever actually worn the blackout because to me it's like the one that kind of blends in the most.
Yeah,
right?
and as a business owner, right? Like, you want to wear your product, you want to have it stand out, you want to have these conversation pieces. Like,
yeah, I like wearing conversation starters.
Yes. Yeah.
So the one that I'm most excited for in the next one is I think 8-color tie-dye that we did. And it really looks kind of like a rainbow because it's hand drawn. I drew it using an art app on my iPad. I think it's called. I don't remember the name of the app. It doesn't matter. It's really, really cool.
Okay.
It looks like sometimes those rainbow tie dyes can look a little bit like a novelty, like kind of tacky. I think this one has some really nice, like, nuanced, whatever, like, look to it.
Sure.
That's nice. So I think every season, as we're calling them now, gets better and better as far as our design goes. And
you mentioned 7. Is this going to be the biggest season yet?
Yes.
7 with 7 new bands?
Yes. And right before Black Friday and all that, so hoping for big holiday season.
Big sales push. Have y'all been approached for wholesale?
Well, we used to do wholesale when we were first starting out in Lubbock.
Okay.
And just kind of realized that there's not as good of a margin, obviously,
Nope.
and wanted to just be online only. Wanted to own that customer relationship.
Sure.
And if like somebody comes to our site, they see what it's all about, and they read the story, they understand the Trees for the Future thing and all that. And
yeah, we didn't actually mention that. Tell me about the this kind of like good cause initiative that you have going as well here. One band sold, one tree planted.
yeah, so it's pretty simple. I wanted to do some sort of give back model, and I also wanted it to feel tangible.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things you'll see is like a portion of proceeds, which is great too, but I wanted it to feel like it is means like a certain thing. So we partnered with this organization called Trees for the Future, which they have an amazing domain name, which is just trees.org.
Mm-hmm.
And we provide the funding to plant a tree through them with every band we sell. And I think we've been doing it now for a year and a half. And this year we're on track to plant 100,000 trees. So hopefully they give us a new certificate of support once we do that, because
because
update
you've upgraded. This says 10,000.
Yeah, that was November. That was about this time last year, I guess.
You gotta put a 10x on that.
Yeah,
get the new one up.
Yeah, so it's a really cool organization. Basically, they don't just plant a tree in a random spot. They're actually working in sub-Saharan Africa to train farmers to basically plant these regenerative farms and like fruit-bearing trees there that like the cycle of ecosystems in nature, like it fertilizes the soil and it creates an abundance of food, hopefully. And so that's kind of the part of it that's really cool. It's not just some random tree going up. It's a tree that's actually going to feed people who they need support. So
well, I think it's pretty I like that it's like companies are doing more of this give back model, like you called it, like just like basically putting out something good, whether it's for people or the environment or animals or what have you, and it adds to the story of your brand. It adds to feeling good about the purchase. So it's it's a good job by you guys to find something that you care about like that.
Thank you.
So let's move on. We mentioned you mentioned that you like to have on conversation starters.
Yeah.
So we'll just jump right into your kit today. Got the off-white sneakers on. You got your custom hat, Monfrey. We got your Casey Musgraves t-shirt on.
I wore this one for Phil.
He would have dug that. I dig that. I saw Casey Musgraves at Stubbs. I think this was last year. Maybe it was 2 years ago. And if I go see a show, I love the artist, I love the performance, then I always try to buy a t-shirt, like kind of like start your own vintage Banty collection, right? Mm-hmm. And I wasn't feeling the merch that was available. But if that had been one of the shirts, that would have been a cop.
Yeah.
Anyways, first of all, I just like this idea. We had Pat from Uniform on, but he came in via video. So you're our first guest in a while to actually be in studio, which it's just it's a great experience to be able to sit down with people. But I'm already now I'm into this idea of people coming into the studio, joining Club Cool, and like they're putting on stuff that they want to talk about. Meanwhile, I get to wear like a dingy thermal tee and black pants. Yeah. So I like this. I'm like the designer at the end of the show that comes out just looking haggard after he just put out the beautiful array of clothing.
That's right.
What'd you think about the Monfrey experience? I feel like this hat thing, it just feels like it's bubbling right now.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the weather's just now getting right for it. So I think this is my second time wearing it, and I'm in the onboarding phase still.
Yeah.
But there's a certain amount of confidence you feel when you have the hat on. It's pretty cool, and it's a conversation starter.
Yeah.
But the experience was really cool.
Yeah.
I had been in there I guess like maybe 2 South by Southwests ago mm-hmm. for a little maybe it was the last one for a little concert thing, and didn't really know what was going on. Went back after hearing y'all talk about it, and yeah.
How did you choose the telescope? On the
yes. They call it a telescope.
Telescope,
right?
Yeah.
I chose this because
on the crown.
Yes,
instead of like a pinched front.
they said that this was like Stevie Ray Vaughan style.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Noted Austin rock star. I'm very inspired by Stevie Ray Vaughan, so I said, yeah, give me his hat.
Give me the Stevie Ray.
I was thinking about going in though and doing a little reshape on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think they got to be used to that because
there was
Phil went back in. I've already been back in once to do like a reshape. I had them add flanges to my brim, and then I had them take away the flanges. So I did. Cool. I did that whole thing and made them work for it. I mean, it's this definitely takes getting used to. These hats, they're kind of ostentatious. Yeah. It is a look, and like Phil and I talked about, man, it's like we're not all Gary Clark Jr. They're just like throws one of these things on all cockeyed and is like the baddest motherfucker in the room. Takes a little, like you called it, that onboarding phase where you're kind of getting used to it and you're locking it in. You're feeling out what's comfortable and how to rock it. You've got the hat. You make accessories. Mm-hmm. In general, do you consider yourself an accessories guy? Like, are you into to socks or jewelry or like all that other type of stuff to add a little flair?
Not too much. I do like socks. I think everybody likes socks.
Sure.
Yeah, I got on some Duvin brand socks. They make some really, really like kind of crazy prints.
Yeah, I know Duvin. Shouts to John B from Outer Banks.
Yeah,
he had on a lot of Duvin.
Yeah. And so one of the things I brought as a conversation starter, because I was gonna do this to some socks.
Open up the bag, man.
Yeah.
Secure
I got
secure
this
the
at
bag.
Some cool store on South Congress with new Indigo kit. So
was that not at Montfray?
No, but they probably have it there too.
Okay.
It wasn't at Montfray.
I didn't see it there, but that seems like something they should sell.
Yeah, totally.
All right.
So I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna do this to some socks because I like those. Bombas is doing it, and I mean I think John Elliott and like a bunch of brands are doing some cool tie-dye socks. But socks are expensive.
Yeah, yeah, no, especially
and
like
I lose them.
Good ones that and yeah, I mean it's definitely it's a high price. Yeah, there are some high price socks out there. I feel you. What if I'm seeing this little Indigo and Shibori kit. How does this sound? I kind of want to tie dye some sheets.
Oh, okay.
Indigo tie dye sheets.
Yeah.
Would that not be cool?
That is cool. Anyway, I just think it's fun to mess with your stuff a little bit. Like, I know you did some denim shorts, and I don't know a whole lot about sewing either, but I would love to learn. That way you can kind of really mess with your clothes, like act as your own, little designer.
Yeah, there was a guy on some Reddit thread a couple years ago. Reddit is one arena where I just completely like avoid the various style subs. Basically, like I've spent almost no time on the one called MFA, Male Fashion Advice, or there's like Frugal FMF, Frugal Male Fashion. I think
I go on there sometimes.
And the only one that I've kind of checked out a little bit is the MA thread, and that's mostly to see what people are buying and selling on there. But I remember reading the story about this guy, and he was like, I think he was like FMA's like most stylish man, like most upvotes, all that type of stuff. And his whole thing was that he was spending like $50 a month on clothing and like nothing more. So tons of thrifts and like, very like low end finds, but he knew how to sew and he was like tailoring all his own stuff. So like he could find pants that were not his size and turn them into like perfectly fitting pants.
Nice.
So he kind of had that leg up.
That's cool.
Just to come back full circle back to the learn how to sew advice that we're giving everybody today.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. So beyond like accessories, you're actually one of the first people that introduced me to the Tumbolo brand, like the Cabana shirts. And then Dave on the show, Dave FX, had on a couple of those, and like I know that's I've seen more of those. Blake Griffin were the same one that you had, like, but he was after you. I saw it on you first. So we're finally getting some colder weather here, but you're a travel guy. You spent some time in Mexico. Are you a summer guy or like a fall winter guy when it comes to like getting dressed? Which one would you consider yourself?
I mean, I think you can be both.
Yeah, sure. I'll accept that answer.
Yeah, I'll say this. My 2 favorite months for dressing, October and March.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's like the sort of...
The transitional periods.
Yeah, I like the transitional periods
You
most.
can like layer a little bit, but you're not swelteringly hot or crazy cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
those are definitely those are top-notch dressing months.
that's right. I do start, even when I'm going out, you got to start with comfort though. I think that's important. Like with shoes, be comfortable in your shoes. And I can't deal with a shirt that's got a tag on the back that's bothering me or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
If it's not comfortable first, I'm out.
Okay.
So,
which trickles back down into your bands as well. I mean,
yes.
Pretty much, right? With like the super flexy, easy on, easy off type stuff.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got both. Is there anything that you're like, anything you're specifically looking forward to trying to put together? Anything new? Any favorites that you like to fall back on for fall? Like what's, now that it is time to really start dressing, it is October. It's one of your favorite dressing months. What type of kits are you looking to get off?
I was thinking about what to wear on the podcast because you get
get
one fit.
You get one. Yeah.
I was about to show up in some furry Birkenstocks.
Okay.
That are my favorite shoes. So anyway, I'm really on this socks and sandals wave.
Okay.
And what's cool about it is you can really
Shouts to
show up.
our old friend John Duda.
Yeah. What's cool about it is you can really show up the socks.
Yeah.
So
are you gonna tuck some sweatpants into those socks too?
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Got to find the right sweats for that.
Yeah.
I'm big on that.
Your Birkenstocks, they're like the Arizona, like the strap
Yes.
ones. Yeah.
And
Okay.
they're actually they're black and white, like buffalo plaid, like similar to this, but
Mhm.
no red. So they're kind of unique.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like sandals, like especially work at home, stay home, like be comfortable in your shoes, but like also it's a cool look. When it's pulled off right, I think it is.
That's one. Yeah, I do like the way it looks sometimes. I think my favorite couple of brands that put out sandals with more like the Japanese look, like Suikoke or Visvim with the Cristo sandal, which is like that, has that like one kind of big ass strap right on top. So it is shoe like in its bulk and its heft. And then it's like the cab or the calls from Suikoke, which like kind of takes that same shape. It's just less,
Mm-hmm.
It's just a slightly more streamlined and not quite as heavy looking. And then even with like Arizonas, it is pulled off in a way that I think looks cool sometimes. Rick Owens did like a Birkenstock collaboration or has an ongoing one where they've done some fuzzy Arizonas as well. And I always remember like the editorial shots for those looked awesome with the socks and the sandals. It's like a hang up that I have. It's one of those old things, like socks and sandals was always almost like an indicator of somebody that was not fashionable. It was like the old man territory, right? Where you got like the knee-high black socks like shoved into some awkward looking sandals. And so it's not something that I've tried yet. But I do think that I'm with you on it looking good in with the right combination and in the right situation. So I'm happy that you're out there getting off your sock and sandal combos. But I've not ventured there just yet.
Okay, I got something else.
Okay.
So this is crazy. I actually meant to show you this earlier. This is a pants company that my dad started in Austin in the 80s.
Okay.
And it's called Nowhere Fashions for Anywhere. And I'm trying to bring these back. Okay. I think.
So this is why you're not doing merch for Brax, or why you're not doing clothing for Braxley, because you've got your next entrepreneurial idea, your next business is a clothing brand.
There's a chance. There's a chance. But it's crazy because these are like elastic patterned pants. And somehow I'm kind of finding myself doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Although I don't think that this was ever profitable. Bad timing though.
I really actually I like the the little woven label on there, the
Yeah,
damask
right?
patch
It's
is pretty sweet.
It is reflective. That is nice, huh?
Yeah. So
Anyway,
is your dad like, is he kind of a fashion style guy too?
a little bit, but I need to get him on this podcast, or I need to have him start listening to this podcast. I mean, so he can sort of stay up to date.
Yeah. A lot of the adults that listen, they're just I feel like their ultimate takeaway is, what is StockX?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that we try to do some episodes that don't revolve around sneakers, but like today, perfect example. Is there anything else besides socks and sandals that you're seeing that you either dislike or that you're really into?
Okay, I'm really into
any other brands.
Yes, I have one brand in mind that I wanted to really talk about, and I don't think you know about them.
I might not.
Italic.
I don't think I do.
Italic is badass. So I think that this is a new wave of where fashion is headed. And basically what they do is you pay $100 a year to be a member, and you get luxury goods at cost, made by them. So it's top quality.
Italic.com?
And it's also at cost, yes. So what I think is really cool about it, I think you can still browse even though you aren't signed in.
Let's see.
So they even tell you what manufacturers they're working with and what other brands use the same manufacturer.
Okay.
So I just think it's really, really cool. And I've gotten a lot of pieces from them. That's all amazing. They do cookware, they do bedding, they do shoes now, and they're constantly putting out new stuff. So what I'm doing is, like, instead of sending it on a $200 John Elliott tie-dye t-shirt or whatever those cost, they're badass.
Yep.
I'm going to buy a $15 t-shirt off here, which is definitely same cotton quality, and tie-dye it myself, basically, or work on it myself. I got a shout out Durango Dyes.
Okay.
Remember Clayton Law from, I think he was an intern at Grand X?
I can't put a face to the name, but
well, anyway,
but continue. Yeah.
Good buddy of mine from college and growing up, but his sister starting a little tie-dye business.
Tie-dye operation.
Send her your stuff, and it's like expert quality tie-dye. So
okay.
All I'm saying is I think that this business model here for fashion is important, and it's also the future.
So are you familiar with Yellow Label?
No.
Okay. So you definitely could be onto something with just like this type of direction. Yellow Label is a little bit more like streetwear directed, whereas Italic looks a little bit more like contemporary luxury. Has that type of direction. Yellow Label is like doing like the double mesh shorts and waffle tees and like big hoodies and that type of thing. But same concept where you're basically paying like a membership, whether it's like a monthly fee or an annual subscription. You might have the option to do one or the other, and then I think that their wrinkle is that for your $20 a month, you get like $100 in credit to spend every month.
Cool.
On their product, which is all, again, kind of similar to Italic. It's all like sourced from pretty high-end factories, and then brought to you at like a price that is lower than it would be because of the credit that you're getting for your membership. So not exactly the same, but like definitely the same concept with you pay one fee to get a better price that you won't find elsewhere on the product offering.
Very cool.
So definitely something to pay attention to. It's kind of like it's not the same, but it does feel like the evolution of something like a Trunk Club, or like this idea of subscription. But why would we take your subscription money to give you brands that we're having to buy from wholesale when we can take your subscription money and then give you stuff that we're making ourselves, which is far less expensive.
Right.
And at the same time, like you mentioned, inventory is an issue for any brand or any company that's making product. So instead of having to stock inventory, you're getting a better idea of what you're going to sell because you have the membership numbers right there in front of you.
Right.
You know that you have X
true.
number of people that are almost definitely going to spend, with at least with Yellow Label, they're probably going to use their credit because they paid for the monthly subscription.
Yeah.
So you kind of have like a better idea of how much to buy, how much to stock.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be interested to see. I'll definitely start paying attention to Italic, and a
That's
good
pretty
note
cool.
to just kind of like look out for these subscription based clothing brands that bring you some type of benefit that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Well, the thing is, I just as I get older and see these what brands are doing now more and more, and realizing how much waste there is in fashion business, I'm starting to care more about owning one really good thing and keeping that for a long time instead of buying a bunch of clearance stuff.
Yep.
And you wear it once and then it's not cool anymore or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for consumers to basically kind of adjust our interest in that way to where it's like kind of how it used to be, like when things were bespoke. You own one really good thing and you keep it for a really long time.
Yeah.
That's better on every level,
Yeah. I mean, just to kind of like spin off from companies giving back and having good cause initiatives tied to the brand, there's also just like people want to be ethical, people want to be green, people want to be sustainable, right? That's like a big buzzword, especially in fashion right now. And it can lead to a lot of kind of like empty promises and virtue signaling, which is an issue, but at its core, like there is consumer pressure on brands to do things the right way and to like not create so much waste and to not pollute so much and to treat workers fairly. And so overall that's very positive. And that all folds back into this idea, like you're saying, that people want to buy fewer things, but they want those things to be high quality and to last and to not end up on, in a trash can or, have it or giving it away or selling it somewhere, or just like, it's kind of it can kind of be a disastrous cycle to get into. And to that end, like one of the things that I have found myself more interested in again for the first time in a long time is shopping vintage. And so I'm very rarely a thrifter. Like I'm less likely to go to like Savers or Goodwill and just like pour through the racks looking for one gem.
Totally.
Because when I have done that in the past, it's not something that I'm really in love with, and so it does end up like not really getting used or kind of sitting around. But there do seem to be more and more like vintage shops that are kind of doing that thrifting for you and like bring it to you in a curated selection. So one that I've been mentioning recently and that I've patronized twice in the last 2 weeks is Full Circle Vintage up kind of near Nice Kicks off of Guadalupe. And very, bare bones store, like really only a few racks, but it's all like really cool stuff. And the price is right as well. They're not gouging you with like crazy, insane vintage prices. Like you sometimes see, we mentioned another one, Pavement, which I believe came from somewhere else. I can't remember if it was New York or California, but I know that's like, it's kind of like a trendy vintage store essentially.
Yeah.
And so I definitely, I see that kind of coming back to people looking for, not only because everything eventually comes back, so it's like a great place to find like a retro silhouette or like a boxy tee from the 90s that's like perfectly in style now, but it's also better for the environment and you're not contributing to the kind of the waste cycle that is the inevitable result of all of the kind of conspicuous consumerism, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said.
Anything else? You got anything else in your bag of tricks? By the way, this is great fun. I hope that many of you get to check us out on YouTube. This is something that Phil was always stoked about. He always wanted to do more show and tell once we had video. So you're actually beating him to the punch here.
Nice. I don't have anything else in there. Bummer.
Let's see. Last little quick topic I wanted to hit for you. I follow you on the Soch. Noticed that you were traveling a little bit. Had a little vacation in Mexico recently. Sounds like you're about to head back.
That's right.
what's travel like right now? And has your routine for travel changed? Do you have any like new tips for those of us that have not ventured out yet? Any new essentials that like you're always carrying on your person now? Just like, any advice lent for the listeners out there who might be venturing out sometime soon?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to travel, I think that travel is there for you. I mean, so I really enjoy going to certain parts of Mexico because it's really easy to get to, and it's amazing. I love it. And one of the great things about online business is that we get a lot of reward points on our credit cards through the ads we buy and stuff. So I got to use them somehow. And really my intention when building this business was I want to be able to be anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
Do you guys have any type of office, or have y'all always been work from home?
Always work from home.
So as far as like daily operations, the pandemic has not really changed much.
No. Yeah, it's built for it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We got very fortunate there. No, I mean, I think that, if you're in a position to travel, like, do it. And the thing is, like going to Mexico, for instance, like they really need tourism right now.
Sure.
Like any amount, because otherwise it's not going to be there.
Well, Mexico will still be there, but
right.
The resorts themselves.
This place that we're going to is Isla Mujeres, and there's just like an amazing, vibrant community there of like awesome restaurants and stuff. And I haven't been since pandemic to this location, but I can imagine obviously anywhere right now is having a hard time.
So I was looking into many years ago. I got to go to one of it's actually the closest Bahamian island to the U.S. It's called Bimini.
Oh.
And so you can, if you have a boat, you can get there right from Fort Lauderdale or Miami. You can also like charter a little seaplane or ride a ferry or do that type of stuff. And so I was just like, something reminded me of it. I was curious about getting down there. These places like we're talking about, like Tulum or Isla Mujeres or the Bahamas, you feel like you can find some, not solitude necessarily, but like, these are places that don't necessarily feel like they're going to be overcrowded.
Yeah.
So as far as pandemic travel goes, they feel on the safer side. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're not going to be surrounded by hundreds of people. You're going to be like in cabanas or in your villa on the beach.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like it's probably a lot safer to be there than be in Austin.
And
frankly,
so, right. And so, but they had, when I looked into this, there were like lots of quarantine rules still in place. So like they wanted you to get there and then essentially, quote unquote quarantine for 2 weeks before doing anything. Now, I guess you could quarantine in your hotel.
I think they've eased up on that.
If you're at a resort, it's like, I guess you're in quarantine anyway. But is that something that is it? Do you experience that with traveling to Mexico right now?
No, I don't know if that's still a rule.
Okay.
There, it may have been, and probably is in other islands or whatever.
Well, and certainly is still in effect for like traveling to Europe right now.
Yeah. But no, it's pretty much like it is here. I mean, you can go to the restaurants, and you can do stuff. You wear a mask on the street or whatever. But it's okay. I mean, really, it's like back open to the extent that it is here.
Yeah.
So that being said, I have a great mask recommendation.
We always need mask recommendations.
It's kind of the only one I've been wearing because it's so comfortable. And not wearing glasses, like the worst part is they get fogged up, and these ones don't seem to fog up my glasses. It's made from a Japanese brand. It's like foam.
Okay.
And it's called Pita, spelled Pitta, on Amazon. And they're like semi disposable, so you can like hand wash them a few times, and then after a while, if they start to get a little broken down, you buy like 6 packs of them. And I have found these to be the mask that really drives me the least crazy. And
okay.
It's nice for people that wear glasses too, and they're kind of cool. They really like fit the face nicely.
Yeah,
different colors.
This little style right here is not one I've tried. Everything that I have so far has been like either like the kind of the cotton one that you see, or like the straight up surgical type. That's just like the pleated kind of blue.
Mm-hmm.
Or the one I have today is black.
Yeah, I like the black. That's cool.
But yeah, man, just speaking of accessories as they relate to fashion, like and style, masks are here for the next 14 months minimum.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be like I'm now even I've done a little bit of venturing out onto just like South Congress, like, you know, popping into the shops like that. And I find myself going into these places and being like, oh man, I wish I had a couple masks. I wish I had some masks to choose from. So it's
there's a lot of innovation to be had, I think, because a lot of the ones that you can get in the stores they're not quite comfortable, or they just don't fit your face right. They need to make one that really sort of I don't know what you would say, like complements your jawline.
Sure.
And a lot of them don't. So
makes you look hot.
Yeah.
You know, I tried the only kind of fashion ones that I bought a 3-pack from John Elliott, and I love the way they look and they fit nicely on, you know, on your face, but they pull my ears a little bit. So it's like the bands are just slightly too tight, and so I like try to or maybe they're too thick, or I don't know, but they pull my ears forward a little bit. So it's like I like them, but it's giving me I'm walking around and people are like, look at that dude's ears. Right. Can't have that.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. All right, Braxton. This was a great conversation. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. Before we bounce on out of here, do you have anything that we didn't get to hit? Any other recommendations? Style notes, fashion topics, Braxley stuff, anything else you wanted to hit on?
Nothing comes to mind, so I think we covered it.
And obviously, you know, what we're plugging today is the Braxley Bands. Remind our listeners where they can follow the brand, follow you if you want to give that information out.
Yeah.
And let them know.
At Braxley Bands, we're doing a Halloween. Oh, that's what we forgot to talk about, the Halloween contest.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you guys do a Halloween contest. I saw this last year, and describe it for me real quick. You basically call for your customers to dress up as a Braxley band.
Nailed it. So this year we're giving out a brand new Apple Watch for the best costume. Okay. We're saying this year you got to either dress up as a Braxley band or incorporate it in some way into a scene, like make it part of your home's decorations or something. Okay. And it's basically we're just seeing what the hell people come up with. And anyway, we're giving away an Apple Watch to the winner. The audience will vote on Instagram for the winner, and then we're gonna give out like I guess runner-up free bands to I think the best 5.
Yeah. So what was the reason that this like is on my list to touch real quick is because I was so shocked last year at how many people participated and like actually had legitimately good Braxley Band costumes.
Yeah, I was shocked.
That was they did it. They really did it.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I mean, it seems like right now, like you only have more clients, more customers. So hopefully you'll get some crazy stuff. Now you're mentioning like the big thing in my neighborhood this year is these skeletons that are hanging upside down and are like in cocoons. I don't know what this is about, but it's a hot decoration. If you weren't able to get your hands on the 47-foot skeleton from Home Depot. And so now I'm just like picturing like somebody building out this Braxley band or with the Apple Watch, but then like something gross is crawling out of the Apple Watch.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Severed arm or something with the band attached.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
I don't know.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Thank you, Braxton. This was wonderful. You're part of our Discord, right?
Yes, find me on the Discord.
Find Braxton on the Discord if you want to pepper him with some more questions.
Yes.
You can find him in there. Here's how you join the Discord. Go to patreon.com/clubcool and just follow us. You don't even have to join. You don't have to become a patron. If you want to, we'd greatly appreciate that as well. It's a great way to support the podcast directly. It's only $2 a month. But I'll send a refreshed Discord link here very soon. So as long as you're following along with us on Patreon, you will receive that. Plus, we have our final October editorial coming out probably tomorrow, a little Friday fun day with some cool stuff that we're out there, Phil and I, looking at on the web. In case you have no interest in that, be sure to support this month's sponsors, Hawthorne, Bombas, and Bespoke Post. If you need the codes, they are listed in the description of the podcast, so check it out. We will be back very soon. Follow the podcast at Club Cool Pod on Instagram. Follow Braxley Bands on Instagram. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Welcome to the club.